Good afternoon, Morgan, and welcome back to the channel and to the next part of this small series of bringing my EE9 Honda Civic back to life. You can see here we've already restored the brakes, and in this episode you'll get to see how we converted this into this. Say hello. Hello. So we're now visited by my teenage son, and he came at a good time. So let's get started. This caliper has been sticking for quite some time. You can see it's actually completely locked, this wheel. When I drive, this side gets hot, which probably means the piston inside the caliper is stuck. So we've bought a new caliper rebuild kit, which will be able to rebuild that. But what was interesting, I was checking the fluid reservoir. There's a filter in here, and you can see little bits of black fleck. That was actually completely filled with black at the bottom. When I lifted the filter out, you can see a little bit there. There's like bits of dirt. It looks like dirt, but what I think it actually is bits of rubber. This brake hose, if it's starting to deteriorate. So I've decided, because the caliper has to come off to rebuild it, we might as well replace the hoses. To prep that, we have to just clean all this area, get some WD-40, because this brake union has to come off. And then it's attached, a couple of screws, and then there's a banjo bolt. See there? That banjo bolt is what holds the brake line. Before we do that, drain the brake fluid out. And you have to keep the vacuum on. Right, you can see, I think those are bits of rubber. And I think the lines are just down. So we've got as much out of there as possible. Let's now drain the calipers. The back calipers aren't sticky despite the rust that's on this disc. It's just because it's been sitting for a few weeks. The rear brakes are free, and I'm just going to replace all 4 hoses. And we're going to rebuild the rear calipers as well. Again, those brakes are not sticky. You can see that brake's not sticking either. If we're rebuilding one caliper, we might as well rebuild them all. Yeah, I just don't like those hoses. If they're the same age as the car, they're 32 years old. Now we've taken most of the brake fluid out of the reservoir. We'll disconnect this hose and we'll start off with this banjo bolt. There probably will still be some brake fluid in the lines. Got an old drain pan, and let's go with the banjo. It's a 14mm bolt. What I'm going to do is just let that drip. There we go. Looks like most of it's drained out already. Oh, no, take that back. There we go. So there hopefully shouldn't be that much come out because we've already drained the reservoir. Okay, so once that's drained, we can then start removing the rest of the hose. Expecting, there we go. There's one crush washer. It looks like it's aluminium. I can see it, there we go. So these 2 crush washers, looks like from Honda, they're made from aluminium. This is a brass wire brush, which is a bit softer than a steel one. Just to make sure the socket can fit over nicely. There we go. Thousands of kilometers of dirt. Dirty boy. Ah, bollocks. That's what you don't want to do. Drop the bolt into the brake fluid container. Oh, there we go. So Honda have spent a lot of time designing a brake hose bracket. There's one here, and another one there. So it's just a 12mm bolt, and then this other 12mm bolt. There's a slight difference in them. So let's just try and get the brake hose. Let's put him there for now. So that's the shorter one. And I'm going to put him temporarily in there. And then the longer one temporarily in there, so you don't get the two mixed up. So that's where they came out of. Again with the brass wire brush so that we don't damage anything. Just clean off any of the excess dirt. And then we'll use our special brake spanner, which has a gap so you can slide it over the brake line. Let's try and find the right position. There we go. Right, now let's see. Oh, nice. That actually moved quite well. I might try and wire brush a little bit more. It's almost out actually. Very good. So that brake union is now out, Jordan. And then what we have to do is remove this clip, and then the brake line should just pop out. So this is just a little clip. Oh, there we go. C-clip. And it just pulls out basically. There we go. There we go. So there's the old flexible brake hose. So we'll just wrap this up a bit. That brake caliper, Jordan, is completely locked on. So when we go to take this off, it might be quite stiff. Those two bolts, that's what the caliper slides on. So it could be that the bolts are stopping it to sliding, but I think it's the piston which is inside here where the brake fluid goes in. When you're taking the caliper off, take the main bolts and then the whole thing comes off. But then to unscrew, this is the bleed screw where you get air out of the system. And these two, they're really hard to take off. If you imagine having the caliper and trying to unscrew it. So we're going to loosen everything first, and good old WD-40. So there's a big caliper bolt there. That's what holds the caliper to the knuckle. And then these two are what hold the carrier, the caliper to the carrier. So the plan is, I'll take off this side, you watch me, and then I'll watch you take off the other side. Okay. That's anti-clockwise, yeah. Which is loosey. So let's see. I put these on. Let's see how tight they are. Oh, not too bad. Don't take them right off. We're just loosening them. Our main caliper bolts were 17, and then the sliders are 12. Yeah. Always make sure it's square. The bleed screw is just a wee cap. It just stops dust. Here we can use the brake spanner. You could use a long socket, but I think I'm going to use the brake spanner. Bleed screws are always potentially rusted. Basically the only thing stopping that rusting is that wee cap. They're sometimes really hard to get out. When we're bleeding this, we can't put the socket on because the socket would cover it up. Look how neatly that brake spanner fits. And the brake spanner, we'll give it, there, look at that. And then that's the bleed screw loose. But you have to be careful. We've got new bleed screws anyway with the rebuild kit, but that is one of the things that can break. It's a lot of work to re-thread that. And then we'll split the caliper. That's our banjo bolt, and you can see the difference. The banjo bolt has a hole because brake fluid goes in, and there's a hole right through it. But they're actually very similar for the fluid. So I'm splitting this caliper. I cannot turn that brake disc even with the caliper release. You have to do this on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm using my left hand in the end to make sure that the socket is nice and square on the head of the boot. I can see the caliper starting to move now. Let's see. Look, the disc still won't turn. So I'm pretty convinced this caliper has a stuck piston. And the caliper bolts, they're significantly bigger. Do you see the disc actually moving the caliper? That's how you know. Now this is where you have to be careful because on the other side it's not stuck. So the caliper will probably just fall off, whereas this one's actually stuck on the disc. I'll get the soft hammer so we don't damage the casting. So we have a hide hammer. It's basically rolls of leather. It's just a big roll of leather, tightly packed, but it means, like, let me hit your hand, bring your hand down. If that was metal, that would hurt. But it's quite soft. But we still have to be kind of gentle. It's completely stuck onto the disc. This is not the recommended way to remove a caliper. There we go. Wow, look at how dirty the fluid is. See that? That's how you know all that was getting into my master cylinder. Now, the brake dust shield has seen better days as well. Oh dear. Might have to, I don't know, I don't think I'll be able to get one of those. So. But we'll see, we'll worry about that later. So that's the, now what's this? I couldn't do that before. Because the brake was basically stuck on. There's the little sliders. That's what the bolts screw into. But this thing, yeah, you can see there, Jordan. Hi. Those are the brake pads. That's another way you know you have to rebuild the caliper. Because see, look at the dirt and the rust. Yeah, look, that caliper piston is completely wedged in there. That should slide freely. But I've bought a rebuild kit, so. Now it's your turn to get the other side off. Jordan, you're finally going to do something. Can you basically just rinse and repeat what we did on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay. So first thing, grab the disc and the caliper and turn the steering the opposite way because we want to access. It's a bit hard, so use both hands. Yeah. You can see the amount of dirt in there. So get your WD-40, and spraying WD-40 is mainly to loosen the threads, but it also softens the dirt. Yeah, don't get it in your eyes or in your mouth. And that's basically loosening the threads and also softening all the dirt. So we'll leave it for a few minutes. Exactly. Give it a good thump. There you go. And then once it starts running out, just let it drip. So we'll let that drip, and then once it's finished dripping, then I'll show you how to pull the brake line off. Okay. So just grab the brake line and wiggle it a bit, there, and pull it off. That's fine because we don't need that washer. Try and pull it off the caliper now. There you go, your first banjo bolt removal. So there's one washer. Where's the other one? Stuck on the banjo bolt. There you go. We're going to change out, place. I've already bought new ones, so It stopped dripping. Now what I'm going to get you to do is clean off those bolts, and it's just so that the socket fits over properly. Here's a before, and we'll come back and see what the after looks like. Good job, Jordan. Now we're going to try and loosen them.
12.
Remember I told you the difference in the 1/2 inch and the 3/8?
Yeah.
So that's to be honest, we could probably use a 1/2 inch. You can do it that way as well. Okay. Now use one hand to keep the socket straight. There you go. Well done.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, swap over to the other one. And then just loosen them both off nice and gently.
It's really rusty or something.
It's just dirt. There you go. Okay, see the way the bracket's starting to split away from the knuckle? And move over to the other one now and just bring them both like. There you go. Now make sure you pull square so you don't damage the head of the bolt. Right, go and loosen the other one with the ratchet.
I can just do it myself.
If can they? Okay, now just pull it nicely out of the way. There we go. If you push the bracket towards the, then it might be easier. No. Good. Now, move on to the bigger one. Grab a socket by itself and check the size. What's that you've got in your hand?
12.
Does that fit?
Yeah.
Always push the button and then you don't damage the ball bearing. And again, make sure it's on square. And then gentle pressure. Loose. So that gentle tapping helped?
Yeah, it's just still a bit stiff.
Yeah, it will be because it's been in there for 32 years. And the WD-40 will have only gone so far. But that tapping, that really helps, doesn't it? It kind of shocks the bolt and that helps to loosen any dirt. It's hard, isn't it, to try and show something on camera with YouTube? Let it hang down so that as long as the fluid's getting captured, it doesn't matter. This is the 3/8 drive, but you need to go from the other side because this side is the bolt, not the head. Okay, again gently. Now, it's not turning. I can't see the thread turning.
Okay.
You're not on the bolt. You weren't on it, so it shouldn't be that loose.
Yeah. Trying to get on, I think I feel that. Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, spin the socket until you feel it engage.
That should be it now.
It looks like you're on it now. And see the difference. If you hadn't sprayed WD-40, that wouldn't have moved so easily. And you've done very well. Yeah, now if it's that loose. Right, just pull the brake line so it's loose and out of the way, but don't forget it's not ready to come out yet.
Trap it.
The brake union, so what do you think you have to do first?
WD-40?
Yay, that's the important part. Okay, now let it sit for a minute and get the wire brush and clean it up, and then we'll use the special brake spanner. And you can see the end is 45 degrees. That means that you're not hitting, you have a chance to get your hand in. That's why spanners are shaped that way.
Okay.
Looks good there, but let it slide down a bit until it's properly on. There you go.
No?
Yeah, now gently. It might need a wee bit of extra pressure, but once it's going, there, did you feel it break?
Yeah.
Right, now turn it as far as you can. But gently, gently. These are very fragile. Yep, exactly. Make sure you get it on square. That's not square, look what you're doing. There you go, well done. Use your other hand so we can keep the camera angle. Good lad. See, YouTube is not easy. No. That's it. And then just do that probably about 20 times.
Yay.
And then we'll come back onto the camera when you have it further out. But you're doing a great job. See the way you got it nicely square on? That's exactly what I meant now. Do you see how careful you have to be with these fucking brake lines?
Yeah.
We're not replacing that union, so don't destroy it, okay? You're doing a good job, Jordan.
Thanks.
See the way it's now starting to get looser and looser?
Yeah.
Make sure you lift the spanner a bit. Do you see the way the spanner's now got quite low on the top of the...
Yeah.
You need to lift the spanner a bit. What were you asking me about that brake spanner?
Yeah, is it just for this screw or this bolt basically?
This type of union, yeah. I call them brake line spanners because if it didn't have the slot, you wouldn't be able to get it over the brake line. And you need to be able to get it over the brake line to actually then engage the hex. They're mainly to prevent the brake line getting wrecked, because if you wreck a bolt, you can replace a bolt easily. But that's actually crimped onto the end of the copper brake line. And if you break it, you'd have to remake the brake line.
Oh.
It's like poking yourself in your eye. You won't die from it, but you obviously don't want to do that. See how much cleaner the threads are that were inside? That's 32 years of dirt. But you can see the quality of the brake line is still in great shape where it was actually doing the hard work, the hydraulic part. So it looks like you've got it the whole way out. All we have to do now is slide this clip and then give the brake line a tap and the whole thing should come out. All I did was just basically grab it and pull. Just you see it's starting to move?
Yeah.
There. And then with your other hand, just slide the brake line down. Gently. You don't want to damage the union. That's it. There we go. Just feed it through and hold it over the brake and the basin. And then we'll wrap the end of the brake line with some masking tape to protect it. Well done, Jordan. You actually got your first brake line removal. What do you reckon, Jordan? Do you think you can do it?
Yeah.
So, yep, exactly. Turn the steering to your side and then remember the bolts that we have to loosen, and you might need the wee screwdriver.
Should I take that off
Sure.
first?
Good, yep. Feeling it with your fingers is another good way. A good mechanic can work blindfolded, you know. That's why I can't. And you're spraying the brake pad there. You can let go. Gently now. I'm replacing them, but I want you to practice being gentle. Head is right there. I won't do too much. There we go. That's plenty. Okay, so I'm going to let you now decide what to do.
Okay.
Just remember about keeping the socket squarely on the...
Yeah, I think I'll do that one first then.
What size are you going for? That's a small
12.
one.
That's for that, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, make sure it's on square. Yeah, when you're tapping, that can also get it off this, because you're only loosening it. You could probably do the rest by hand.
Okay.
What I mean is not by hand, but without the ratchet. Now be careful, Jordan, that's starting to go off the square. Yeah, keep pressure on. Yeah, the top of the ratchet. Because see what was happening there? You were doing that.
Yeah.
You can hold the head like this and then use your other hand.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's enough loose. Now remember, nice and square, yeah. And give yourself a chance to turn it so you're already... Exactly. Well done. Now make sure it's on square and that it's level. Yeah. You're going left?
Yeah.
Yeah. And give it a tap as well. Gentle tap. Shouldn't need much, but doing it that way means that you're not going to stress it too much. Don't try and turn it until you've tapped it a few times. Keep on going. It's moving. need to use these gym muscles you've been training for.
It hurts through the palm.
Alright, let's see. Oh, this is tighter. Okay, get the soft hammer. Don't like to do this because that's just where you can actually really damage it. I can see it's coming off the. It's actually starting to. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees because it's actually starting to bend the bleed screw already. So just gentle taps. I don't like that, Jordan. Honestly, I really don't like it. It's funny how the other side came off fine. Yep, it's spinning. So that bleed screw is no good. Right, I'm gonna try the socket. Yeah, it's spun. See how quickly that happened?
What do you mean?
The edges are rounded.
Oh.
It happened really quickly, that's what I was trying to explain. So I'm gonna get a socket which grips all 6 sides. It's most side, but this, look, it's all sides. The problem with this is, for now it's okay, because we're not bleeding it, but we're not bleeding this. There, see the difference? That came right off. Yeah, I'll prove it to you. It's loose by hand.
Yeah.
Because this thing, normally, that's one of the things that's designed for. It should grab quite nicely. Okay, now, what's this? That should be a nice tight fit, but look, do you see? See how much play there is?
Yeah.
That's what was happening. That was actually spinning that. That should have gripped it. You see those edges? They should be sharp.
Yeah.
And they're all rounded, and that's what happens. You know, once you know it's going to go, just stop. If it even remotely shows you that it's not gripping, just stop, and then you can rescue it like that. Not that we needed to rescue it, but it's always better not to break things if you don't have to. So we haven't loosened the big ones yet, so this is going to be quite, remember how much strength I needed? Now this is the critical one that you really have to make sure the rat sits on square. Make sure it's on square. Yeah, and then give it. Sorry, if you stand up, maybe you can get a bit more leverage. Yeah.
Just try not to break.
It's alright, those are big bolts, so the most important thing that the head's on square. That's alright. I've dropped that leg 1,000,000 times and still survives. Let's see those veins pop. You're lifting the whole car now. Okay. You shouldn't feel bad because those are tight. Oh no, see what was happening? You were actually hitting this other bolt. It was hitting that other bolt. But that wouldn't have stopped it. You can see, like, there's a mark on the ratchet. That's where you were hitting the other bolt, but that bolt wouldn't have stopped it from turning. Right, let's see. There we go. So I'll let you do the bottom one, okay? So you can feel it. And try doing what I did there. There you go. That's a good angle. Now, make sure it's on square.
Yeah.
And give yourself a chance to have a bit of leverage because you don't have much there. It's going to hit that. No, other way. There. And now you have a chance to actually leverage. Right, I'll help you here. I'll hold that end. You use both hands then to. There we go. Well done. The hardest thing is because you have to hold it, like hold. There we go. Try swapping hands. Now, it's important that you always have one hand supporting the ratchet. I think I've told you that enough. Huh?
Should I take it fully off now?
Well, just loosen them till they're nice and easy, and then we'll take the other caliper bolts off. And this time we'll actually try and split the caliper because it does. Let's see if the wheel turns. Right, does it turn on this side?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should split. So we'll split the caliper this time rather than trying to take it off in one go like I did. I had to because of the caliper being stuck. But just be careful when you take that off, that's going to be loose, so hold the caliper, just support it gently. No, the caliper's here. You can swap hands, Jordan, if you want. It won't come off with just one, but it will be loose. And just make sure you keep the bolt stored up with the head down so that the threads don't get wrecked. Yeah, just keep one hand, and then just set the bolt over there. Right, now you should be able to unscrew that by hand, but keep your palm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's going to slide in the whole caliper, and it's not heavy, but it will take you by surprise if you're not ready for it. And try and, yeah, now hold, keep the caliper. Yep, good man. Now use both hands. It should slide out. You might have to wiggle it back and forward. Make sure you bring it out at an even pace on the pads. Don't forget the pads are loose there. Now there's brake fluid flying out. Now look at the dirt. The brake fluid was absolutely stinking. Now you've got nice white socks on, so just I'll grab the caliper from you. We'll hold it this way around because the caliper was still full of brake fluid, but don't get anywhere near that. There you go. You can just keep that upright for the minute. All you've left is the carrier, which is just 2 bolts, and we'll take that off in a minute. But I'm really happy that we're going to this level of detail because I saw a lot of dirt in the master cylinder, and all that dirt means that you're not getting proper brakes. See the difference? That seal is much more even. The piston is rusty, but it's much further out and it's even. Will be compared to the other one. Do you see the difference? This seal is not sealing properly. That caliper is actually in a different, well, it's hard to tell from this angle. But this piston wouldn't move. This one at least would move. Back to you. Go ahead. Do you remember what you have to do? No?
Oh,
Forgotten already?
Thing brace or whatever it's called.
There you go. And see, whenever it's not much torque needed, you can support the ratchet with one hand, but when you need a lot of torque, you need both hands. Can you feel that difference?
Yeah.
And then set that bolt out of the way so that threads don't get damaged. Now hold the caliper carrier. One of the other things happening there is the caliper carrier is moving a lot, and you're not always got the screw free. Sometimes it'll hit the side.
Oh, I didn't get the
Sometimes it'll hit the side of the bracket that it's in. Okay, and then let's put it out of the way. But that's basically the front brakes now. At least the hydraulic element removed. Set it on there out of the way, and we're gonna get all those cleaned up. We have to take this disc off and see there's 2 screws. These 2 screws are renowned on almost every car for getting stuck, but I have a special tool for that called an impact screwdriver. Once we take the disc off, then we can rebuild the calipers. We'll finish what we started. So now this car has basically no way of stopping itself. Ta-da! Can you do engine noises? Let me see. No, I didn't time that right.